Hi folks, nice to see returning subscribers again, and maybe those of you who are tuning in for the first time. So quick recap, Brenda. I had a stroke. What date is this? 11 months ago yesterday. So this video I'm going to have a look at, I suppose, a really frank discussion about mental health. So it kind of is applicable even if you've not had a stroke, because it's talking about perceptions and changes and where you fit in all that as well. So yeah, 11 months ago I had an ischemic stroke, a clot, which has left me with weak-sided issues on my left side. I still struggle to use my hand. That is me being able to open it out. My pinky's doing its own thing today. So yeah, it's really difficult to do basic things still, like hold cutlery, although I've been practicing on that. I think I could probably eat in public now without becoming a spectacle. And that leads me kind of on to the big question of, am I different? Or in what ways am I different, maybe? So I'd say, yeah, I'm different. Physiologically, I'm different because although there's obvious external issues with mobility, and you would see me wearing my ankle foot orthosis as well, there's an invisible injury in my brain that can only be seen on a scan. So yes, physiologically I'm different. Psychologically, I would have to say, yeah, I'm different as well. I have obviously far many lower moods now than I did before. So psychologically, it's, I suppose, a more of a struggle to stay kind of upbeat, focused, and rehab, without a doubt, is absolutely the crucial focus for me. As I've said before in other videos, I accept that I've had a stroke. I just refuse to accept the limitations that I'm being left with just now. And that also kind of brings me on to the other element of where you feel about things. And this is applicable even if you've not had a stroke. Humans are social creatures, you know, we need social groups, social company, and we need validation. So when you're recovering from a stroke, and a stroke affects everybody differently. So I am right now acutely aware that there are people out there who do not even have the limited range of movement that I've got. And my heart absolutely goes out to you for that, because I know the struggle I have every day, and I just can't begin to imagine what some other people go through. But equally, there are others out there who have lesser effects of a stroke. So, you know, initially, I just, as I said, when I woke up the day after, I literally begged the nurses to end my life because I just couldn't see anything beyond that. But also, people were saying, listen, I know someone who's had a stroke and they're back doing this and they're back doing that. And excuse me, this side of my face is still numb, so I always feel like I'm dribbling. So yeah, you know, I think my expectations for recovery were all over the place, because doctors at the time were saying, you know, your hand is the last to come back, which is true. Your hand and your arm generally are. I think it's small complex movements, you know, that just make it harder because there's more things for the brain to work on. Again, I'm not a doctor, so that's just my understanding of it. But when you've then got other folks saying, yeah, my friend's back doing this or back doing that, or you would never know they'd had a stroke, I'll come back to that one as well. So my expectations for recovery, I think, took a while to really kind of sink in with me. And if you have, or you've given yourself an expectation, you can feel that you're not living up to that. And that doesn't just apply if you've had a stroke. That might be whatever thought or position or judgment you've put on yourself. So I should be doing better, I should be promoted, I should have worked harder, I should have got this, I should have done that. The minute you introduce those shoulds and musts and have tos, you're putting yourself under some kind of judgment. So 11 months on, I've kind of reconciled myself with the fact that a lot of what is going on with me just now is probably permanent. And that's hard to admit. And when you see others who have had lesser impacts, lesser obvious impacts, I'm going to say, so they talk about running again or doing hikes and stuff again. And I honestly am delighted for anybody who recovers from a stroke, because in an instant you have any control that you think you have over your life taken away from you. And you know, we're not all control freaks, but we do like to believe that we've got some autonomy in what we're choosing to do with our lives. And a stroke kind of removes that from you. So it leaves you in that position really of recognising that, you know, even the healthiest people can have a stroke or can have a serious illness, and your life can just change in an instant no matter what causes that. So I honestly would never wish this kind of condition on anybody at all. So when people are recovering well, I am absolutely delighted. But of course, I'm also really envious, and that's not always easy to admit as well. Even within a group of stroke survivors and that kind of community, I think you're always scared that you're coming across as, you know, petty, and absolutely not. I think someone said to me yesterday, comparison is the thief of joy. And I really like that, because as a stroke survivor, I term myself a stroke survivor. Some people term themselves a stroke fighter. I'm a survivor, because right now I feel like I am mostly kind of recovering and surviving rather than living again, because I can't do the spontaneous things that I used to do before. I can't just rock up somewhere because I'm not driving just now. Not that my license has been taken off me. That would be a whole other video about, certainly in the UK, about DVLA, about getting licenses sorted and adjusted and things like that. But anyway, so yeah, you know, the spontaneity of being able to have the choices that you once took for granted again disappear. So if you're caring for someone with a stroke, that's something maybe to kind of, it's difficult to imagine. You can't ask people to imagine something they've never really experienced, but to empathise with is probably the best word I would use. But equally, I empathise with my husband, who's my main carer, because he's my chauffeur. He helps me cook, or he does most of the cooking, does practically everything, you know, supervised showers and things like that, just because that instant happened, and that instant could happen again. But that's also important that you don't dwell on that. You have to move on from that wee bit as well. So if you're in a position where you're finding yourself feeling really comparing your life to others, best thing I could say about that is don't, because your life is your life. So when you get into low moods, which is kind of what I'm going through just now, your thoughts can become quite easily distorted. So for example, if you've not seen, say, a pink car, and you think of a pink car, guaranteed you will start to notice pink cars. And it's not that there are either more of them or less of them that were on the road before, it's just because your attention's focused there. So when you're in that perspective of this is so hard, and you're seeing other people get on, or other people having their own lives, and by the way, this is my stroke, it's not anybody else's, and I'm not asking anybody to say, you know, God, I would never give it to anybody anyway, but yeah, it's it's hopefully explaining a wee bit how I feel, and it's probably dead clumsy, but you know, when your thoughts are kind of distorted and you're in that low mood place, um, you know, try to notice that. And as I've said before, one of the ways that I get myself out of it is to do stuff, to focus on still doing stuff and still changing. And part of that is doing this video. Um, don't know, I don't know how much it helps others. I hope it does. Sorry, there's actually nothing there, but it kind of feels like I'm dribbling down there anyway. So yeah, I've got a couple of notes here. So yes, if you are feeling, from particularly for the stroke survivor's perspective now, but if you're feeling a bit like everyone else is doing better than you, it's not helpful. It's not the best thing to do to compare yourself to that. You can still feel that grief and loss that you can't do those things. And it's one of the reasons I've taken a step back from social media myself just now, other than obviously doing this video. Because social media is really good for helping to combat that isolation as well. And engaging with others in a stroke survivor community has absolutely been lifesaver for me. Online classes, online videos on YouTube, and just getting that contact and acknowledgement that you are still you, because yes, I recognise I have changed and my mentality and my perspective has changed. Of course, it's had to, I never noticed how crappy the pavements were before until I had to go and walk on them, or use my mobility scooter on them, and you think, how on earth did I not see this before? And it's because I never really had to think about it. So, there's been a huge adjustment in my life. As I say, it's my stroke, it's not everybody else's. And underneath everything, I'm still me, but my life doesn't necessarily have to revolve around risk assessing some things, accessibility things that you would never consider before. What's the parking like? What's the, is it steps? Is it stairs? Is there a handrail there? Is there not? Is there a lift? All of these things that you just don't think about, and you still don't really expect others to think about. And it's not anybody else's place to think about things for me, I guess. But yeah, so in all this big ramble, hopefully the message here is, if your mental health is taking a dip, which mine is just now, recognise it, seek help, GP, talk to a friend, seek out counselling. There are really good counselling directories within the UK, word of mouth, just someone that's maybe had that. And just take time to, I would always say to someone else, be kind to yourself, because it is pretty rubbish what you're going through, but you don't stay here. The world keeps turning. You just need to turn with it, and you turn with it whichever way suits you, basically, or whichever way is adapted to you or adaptable for you to do. So I think I've covered all the things on my wee note thing here, and wow, this is the longest video I'm going to do, so I've done it one take, which I prefer to do, and I'm probably not going to cut it down or redo it, because, as some people have said to me, this is the reality and you are showing people the reality. So again, to try and end on an upbeat note, my hairdresser will kill me because I cut a fringe in. I haven't been back to see her because I'm trying to grow my hair, but I cut a fringe in my hair myself. So maybe there is a new career for me somewhere. But genuinely, I have changed. The world hasn't changed, and obviously can't change with you. So you need to find your place in the world, and that's what I'm trying to do, and hopefully that is what some of these videos are helping you to do as well. So thank you for watching to the end, and take care. Please like if you like this, I'm sorry. Subscribe and share the videos to people that you think might benefit. There is still a life out there to be lived, and I'm working towards getting that back, and I hope you are too. Please let me know in any comments or contact me to let me know how you're getting on too. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.